Tracee Ellis Ross meant 35. Y'all love to get on this internet acting fucking obtuse.
Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. So before we get started, I just want to say, excuse my voice. Your girl is still trying to get over this throat cold, so if I sound off, that's why. But let's get into it. So Tracee Ellis Ross was recently a guest on the In My Opinion podcast hosted by Michelle Obama and her brother Craig Robinson. And per usual, when it comes to Tracee, the conversation was surrounded relationships. And you know the internet eats up relationship content, so as you can imagine, the think pieces have been put out, the clips have been circulated, and I'm here to talk about them. Let's watch the two clips that stood out to me the most, and then get into what the streets are saying.
One of the reasons, we've talked about this, that often I date younger men. And a lot of it is because...
Let's stop on that, folks.
Oh my God, we had a great dinner. We had a great dinner, by the way, where across the table, your husband goes, "But why?" And I said, well, maybe because I can.
Yes, Harish. This is what I'm saying. Tales from Tracee's...
It's fun. It's very fun to share.
Tracee tale.
But
I'm sorry.
But one of the reasons, though, that... Because I had to ask myself that question. I was like, what is this about?
Yeah.
Because I want a partner. And so often... And it's not just that I'm older, I'm also very embodied. I am a full, very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives a very full, just robust life. So it's not just age, it's like life experience and sort of a difference. But I had to ask myself the question, why? Why does this keep sort of coming up other than they're hot and gorgeous? There's that. But a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, and I have no interest in it, and I will not do it again.
I'm sorry.
No,
Craig.
I was going to say, it's a generational thing, so it didn't matter how you met them, or is it just kind of the guys you're meeting?
That's obviously
too big of a generalization.
It's a generalization, but because I have dated men my age, there is a difference. There is an openness that occurs with a younger man around whether it's gender fluidity or not even having an issue with homosexuality. Something as basic as that. That there's times where I'll be, sitting across the table from somebody and just like, what did you just say?
Yeah, what century are you?
Like,
well,
oh my God.
Where's your horse and buggy?
Yeah, like, I'm so sorry.
And your bedpan. Yeah. And you ask, are you dating anyone? That's something that we ask young people in their 20s. You know, the whole thing about weddings,
we talk a lot about that.
Yeah, it's just like the pre-proposal and the bachelorette and the pre-honeymoon and then the 3 wedding dresses and have you thought about
the amount of money,
your 32 list items of who you want to marry, or are you more busy picking out your photographer?
Yeah, it's interesting, that whole... I hope that is starting to dissipate culturally. So. I really do. I think social media is perpetuating some of those things in a really big way, but I did dream of my wedding growing up. And that's not to say that I didn't dream of the bigness of my life, but I could have spent a lot more time dreaming of my life. And as much as grief does surface for me around not having children and not having a partner, I still wouldn't want the wrong partner.
That's a great point for people to hear.
I'm not interested in that. You have to make my life better. It can't just be, I'm in a relationship to be in a relationship. So even though the grief does emerge and that comes and I hold that, I think of what I've done. And I woke up every morning trying to do my best. I didn't wake up one morning and be like, I'm going to mess this day up.
That's right.
So I must be where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know, sometimes I think of all of the things I've done, the courage that I've had to have and what I've had to learn how to navigate as a single person with no one to hide behind. Yeah. And it's built a really beautiful experience around me. And I have incredible friends.
So now everybody's talking about Tracee Ellis Ross and her conversation with Michelle Obama on her podcast. And how she's speaking about how she mourned the life that she could have had and regrets not doing this and regrets not doing that. And this is the lesson for all y'all women who chase this idea of being in charge and having it all. and being the boss and like, what is it for? And I have a genuine question, like, what is it all for if it's not to build a life for a family? And I've been so convinced that being in charge and getting money is so much better than being in a family, being with a husband and kids. I've been convinced that there's something wrong with you if you're not running the show. And she's showing you that you can have all of that access. She was born with money, so she didn't even have to do what she ended up doing as far as choosing the lifestyle she chose. You can have all of that. You want to lead, you want to be in charge, you want to tell people what to do. Go ahead and do that. You have the freedom to do all of that stuff. You have the freedom to make as much money as you want, to be in the spotlight, to be in front, to lead as much as you want, and you come back in the end with the same results. This is the results of that lifestyle. Black men don't want to take away your shine. They don't want to keep you down. Not the black men that I'm talking about. Most black men just want to be a part of a family. Why is it that when we were at our best, black men were leading? And once black women became leading, we became at our worst. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why every other culture doesn't have their women lead. It's not your natural position. And every results keep showing you that that's not how it's supposed to be, but y'all continue to push it because y'all want to do what y'all want to do. We don't want y'all to be in pain. We don't want y'all to struggle. But we're not going to let y'all do whatever y'all want. And because we won't let y'all do whatever y'all want, y'all don't want to be led by men. And the results have proven that it's the wrong decision every time. These are the people, all the women that are in top spots, all the women that have all the access, all the advantages in the world, all the women that y'all look up to are what? Miserable in the end because they don't have no real relationships. They don't have no family. They don't have nothing that genuinely fulfills them, because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is family. If you're not gaining success for family, what's the point? What's the point of being rich? To buy stuff? To have stuff? To be out and about and to be, validated for the stuff that you have? That stuff don't mean nothing. When you go home, it means nothing. But y'all are so caught up in the ability that you want to be able to do whatever you want to do. Most people shouldn't be able to do whatever they want to do. It's like all you can eat buffet. You shouldn't be eating everything you can eat just because you can. Discipline and structure. Standards. So that's the majority of the reason why black women in the community are overweight, because they have all the access that they want. And you shouldn't. You should restrict yourself to some things. You should require better of yourself. You should have standards. And that's what a man is supposed to do in your life. The problem is, so many of our women are out of order and they just don't want to do what it takes to get what they really want in the end, which is fulfillment. Because you don't want to listen, you're going to suffer. And this is an example. She's an example. Tracee Ellis Ross had every advantage. And now she is at the age of 50 plus talking about she mourns a life that she didn't get. Why? Because you don't want to do what it takes to be the person that can get what you want. You're not going to be able to do what you want to do with a man that you respect, admire, and love. It's just not going to happen. And that's the problem. Most women want to be able to get the man that they want, but they want to do it whatever way they want to do it. Like it don't matter what he wants. Any man that you truly respect and admire is not going to put up with your garbage. You're just not. And y'all will rather trade fulfillment for the ability to do what you want. That's not going to fulfill you in the end. And by the time you figure that out, you're going to be 50 plus looking around like, damn, I messed up. And this keeps happening over and over and over again. But y'all refuse to listen. At what point do you recognize, you know what, maybe the way we've been doing these things ain't right. Maybe the way we've been leading this community ain't right. Look at how our communities turned out once women began leading it. We used to be the most put together community out of all of them. And at that time, what was going on? Male leadership. They came in and gave women the option to keep the man out of the house for some extra money. And because y'all wanted the things that y'all thought y'all wanted, y'all chose that over us, and we haven't recovered ever since. So let's ask the question, why do our women not have what they truly want on the inside? Because they sold their soul for stuff. And the generations after that have been struggling ever since. Let this be a cautionary tale. This is how it always ends. And until you change things, it ain't gonna get no better.
I wish more women knew that not seeing the life that we thought we would have come to fruition is actually grief. Tracee Ellis Ross just named that particular type of grief. She said that she often finds herself mourning not being partnered and not having children. That type of grief hits very differently, right? You're not missing someone who left, okay? You're missing someone who never even showed up. You're grieving someone who was never even born. And I find it so fascinating because being single in this society is such a double-edged sword, right? On one hand, it is glamorized. It's soft life, me era, solo travel vibes, all the things. And then on the other hand, it's stigmatized, quietly judged, like there has to be something wrong with you, which we know that that's not the case, right? But the craziest part is that for this type of grief, there is no ritual. There is no funeral or memorial service like when we lose somebody in the physical realm. There is no divorce party when you finally leave that man. No outpouring of love and gifts and support when you miscarry a child. There is no closure. Even as a friend, I've had to check myself, right? Because my instinct is to fix it, to throw a solution at it, to cheerlead, to play matchmaker, and make sure that they know that they are so much more than being someone's wife, being someone's mother. But real support is just sitting in it, sitting in the discomfort. It's to say, I see you. Not necessarily, oh girl, be patient, he's coming when the time is right, because that's not necessarily the case either. Because here's the truth, being partnered does not guarantee you won't be lonely. Shout out to Cecilia Regina and her Lonely Wife series. If you know, you know. So maybe the real life, the real glow up is in learning to grieve what never was, what never might be, and still learning to build a beautiful life anyway.
Because I mean, we've talked about this, that often I date younger men. A lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, I have no interest in it, and I will not.
Shout out to Auntie for being so intelligent and articulate with her words. But the real ones know how to read between the lines. Miss Tracee Ellis Ross want to move around. She want to do what she want to do whenever she want to do it. And she know that Uncle Charles and Mr. Henry, they ain't going for that. But her being the legend that she is and having the clout and cachet that she's gained over the years, she could get one of these YNs or, senior YNs to do whatever it is she want to do. She can get them to be down with whatever it is she want to be down with. And look, I ain't got no problem with it. I don't make it a habit of disagreeing with people about their preferences. Your preference is your preference. What I will say is that I see the women commenting on this post trying to twist the words and make it seem like it's not manipulation. It's definitely still manipulation. I know it's tough for y'all to say it that way because it's a woman talking about men. But we all know if a man said these exact same words, he would have lost 2 or 3 endorsements by now. Oh, she not talking about younger men. She talking about, men in their late 30s and stuff like that. First of all, how you know? Secondly, Tracee Ellis Ross ain't nothing but 52, which means men in their 40s are her age. That's the same generation. So my hypothesis is she is talking about men in their 30s. Men who grew up in a freer, more open, more accepting generation than what she's used to. She don't want no man that's gonna come in there, put his foot down, and say what it is and what it ain't gonna be. Maybe because she feels like she's decorated enough or successful enough to where she don't gotta do that, or she just don't want to be tied down like that. Either one is cool with me. I just know, just like every other man knows, that if somebody with a penis would have said this exact same thing in the exact same way, he would have woke up the next morning canceled as a mother.
Tracee Ellis Ross meant 35. Y'all love to get on this internet acting fucking obtuse. She didn't mean 21 younger. You niggas love to try to, get status behind your predatory actions. She meant fucking 35, 40, and she's 55. Not you niggas wanting to date 20 and 19-year-olds and you're fucking 60 and 55 years old. That's different. And I hate how men get on the internet and act obtuse about power dynamics. Like, the average 50-year-old woman is not dating a 20-year-old. Let's cut the fucking shit. Like, just say you like little girls, you like young girls because they're easy to manipulate, but stop trying to make a thing a thing. Tracee Ellis Ross, men, I like younger men. And the context clues, inference, y'all are just dumb as a box of fucking rocks, man. She meant 35 years old, 40, 50, and I'm 52. Tracee.
You want to know the biggest takeaway from this episode of In My Opinion with Michelle Obama and her brother Craig Robinson? The biggest takeaway, even though Tracee Ellis Ross is 52 years old and she's never been married and she's never had kids, even though the episode was about dating, none of that matters. The biggest takeaway from that episode was that it takes so much courage to live a full life. Michelle, who's been married for 30 plus years, her brother who's been married, divorced, married again, Tracee, who's never been married. The commonality throughout the whole entire episode to me was that it takes courage to live a full life. That is the best advice anyone can give you. Married, not married, divorced. You need to live a life that you love. I preach this every week on my podcast. I preach it on my channel as well on YouTube. It is so important to be able to create a life that you love, no matter who's in it, no matter what it looks like. And I love that although this was an episode about dating, that was a very clear message throughout the entire episode. If you watched it, let me know what you think. And also, I did not know Tracee Ellis Ross was a Scorpio.
Tracee has always been a celeb that I've looked at fondly. I love how self-assured and confident she is, and I admire how she's been able to build such a full life for herself. Her friendship seems solid. Everyone always has such kind things to say about her, and it's just like, wow, this lady is doing it right. So I wasn't at all surprised to find men being willfully obtuse about her comments. We all know a lot of older men are engaged in toxic masculinity, For some reason, they only seem to understand that concept when they're trying to get sympathy or weaponize their programming against women, but I mean, I digress. So it definitely made sense that she would like to date a younger man, and by younger, I'm assuming she means like mid-30s and 40s, because older millennials are some of the most progressive people you'll ever meet. And there's nothing wrong with wanting your spouse to be a free thinker that's open to new ideas, learning and evolving, which is kind of hard to find in that older generation because they're much more steadfast in their traditionalism. I mean, even now we're seeing that in Gen Z, which is actually kind of scary. But yeah, it's safe to assume Tracee is dating possibly elder millennials, because we ain't never seen Tracee with no 20-something. And the last people that we do know her to be involved with were at most 10 years her junior. So the men comparing her to Shannon Sharpe are just absolutely out of pocket. Men in the manosphere are always being willfully obtuse in these kinds of conversations, and it's just so disingenuous. Nobody is being led astray because Tracee has chosen to remain single instead of compromising her needs just to say that she has someone. It's quite the opposite. We actually can learn a lot from her and women like her. A lot of men think it's better to just pick someone and have some kids to check off your bucket list out of FOMO than foregoing societal expectations and living life on your own terms. Which is why many of them are uncomfortable with the idea of women rejecting these ideas and no longer viewing them and what they can offer the proverbial prize to be won. Which, thank God for that. When you see them saying she just wants a young man to control or doesn't want quote-unquote male correction, whatever the fuck that means, it's all just projection. They don't want women to wake up to the lies we've been told about them, because if we do, they're up shit's creek. But enough about that. I want to focus on the second clip and the idea of grief and how it may repeatedly present itself throughout our lives. Grief is a part of life, and it's not always connected to a tangible loss, and I feel like that's something that we as women in particular have to grow to understand. Because although it's easy to feel shame for what we perceive as us falling behind or failing, it's not as easy to call out our grief for what it is, and to remove that blame we've assigned to ourselves for not being where we want to be. It's okay to mourn the life you thought you'd live, the husband you haven't found yet, the babies you never got to bring into the world, but don't stay there, because at the end of the day, all you can do is remain true to yourself and try your best, as Tracee said. I also think it's important that we ask ourselves and explore why we've dreamt of such lives in the first place. And when you do, you may find it was never truly your dream at all. I mean, hell, a lot of our dreams are a result of conditioning, if we're keeping it a buck. Lastly, her point about actually spending time dreaming of your life rather than dreaming of the expectations placed on you was just so poignant. We miss out on so much self-discovery, chasing milestones that we've never even given a second thought. And that's kind of where I find myself now. After going through a huge tower moment at 28 years old and realizing I never really lived for myself, I'm now at 33, pushing myself to discover who I am, fleshing out my core values, what happiness looks like to me, what a healthy relationship would look like for me. And it's through therapy and listening to women like Tracee or Taraji P. Henson or Lauren London, I think she's a beautiful spirit, and other great content creators that I've been able to do a lot of introspection. So I really enjoyed this podcast, and if you're a woman, I suggest you give it a listen as well. If you're a young woman listening to me right now, do not let society lie to you and have you thinking older women are bitter or jealous of you or have nothing to offer. It's not true. Sit at their feet and learn, okay? We don't have to always learn through our own mistakes. Find older women that model a life and personhood that you would like to model and take in what they have to offer. So with that said, if you made it this far, please drop a pink heart down below. Let me know what you thought of this discourse. Like and sub if you enjoyed this content, and I'll be back with the new What Took TikTok real soon. Bye.